In 1982, in Kalamazoo, Michigan, the final Checker taxicab quietly rolled off the assembly line. No fireworks, no farewell. What was shocking was not the moment it ended, but the form it took, a design that had remained virtually unchanged since the late 1950s. While Detroit raced to refresh styling every 3 years, Checker remained loyal to the same chassis for more than 2 decades. Why would a car company once known for its flexibility, one that regularly updated its models, choose to stand still amid the flow of technological change? Was it stubborn conservatism or a calculated decision? Few people know that behind that outdated exterior lay 4 quiet attempts at replacement, buried in boardrooms and test workshops, projects driven by ideas far ahead of their time, concepts that would not appear on modern vehicles until decades later. This is a story about opportunities that were missed. For nearly half a century, from 1922 through the early 1960s, Checker Motors embodied American flexibility and practicality. Every few years, Checker refined its designs, improved its chassis, and updated its engines, not to lead trends, but to better serve a single customer, the urban taxi industry. But everything began to slow after 1970, when Morris Markin, the man who had steered Checker through the Great Depression, wartime, and the post-war era, passed away. Markin was not just the founder, he was the soul of the company, a man who understood that a taxi was not an ordinary automobile, but a tool for making a living. Under his leadership, every decision revolved around durability, repairability, and long-term operating costs. After Markin's death, Checker entered a new phase of management. A younger generation of executives took over, better educated, more formally trained, yet lacking the hard-edged survival instincts of someone who had built a company from nothing. They inherited a stable business with steady orders from large taxi fleets. Profits were modest but reliable, and that very reliability became a trap. Checker slipped into what economists call a state of pleasantly profitable enough to survive, but not under enough pressure to change. There was no crisis, and therefore no urgency. As Detroit entered an era defined by emissions regulations, safety standards, and global competition, Checker chose to stand still. With each passing year, the decision to invest in a new vehicle was postponed yet again. In the early 1970s, while much of Detroit remained consumed by debates over styling and engines, Checker quietly pursued a completely different direction: materials and long-term ownership costs. The project known as Galva emerged from this context, a low-profile effort driven by an intensely practical, taxi-focused mindset. Checker partnered with Auto Dynamics, a design and engineering studio known for bold ideas. Galva's focus was not appearance, but what taxi operators cared about most: durability and body longevity. Its core concept was the use of fully galvanized steel, an idea that had almost never been applied on a large scale in the American auto industry at the time. In the urban taxi environment, the greatest enemy is not major accidents, but corrosion. Winter road salt, rainwater, mud, and daily minor impacts all slowly eat away at a vehicle's body. Galva was designed to be virtually rust-proof, extending body life far beyond that of any Detroit sedan. From an economic standpoint, this was an exceptionally smart strategy. Checker did not sell cars to private consumers, but to taxi fleets. For them, cost was not the purchase price, but total cost of ownership, the cumulative expense over 10, 15, or even 20 years of operation. A rust-free vehicle meant fewer repairs, less downtime, and longer usable life. Galva was created precisely to lock in the loyalty of those customers. Yet a paradox emerged in the boardroom. Galva was too good, and therefore too dangerous for Checker itself. A body that lasted almost forever meant lower replacement sales in the future. More critically, the upfront investment required for galvanized steel production lines was enormous, and the project never progressed beyond the prototype stage. By 1977, the next project emerged under the name VW Rabbit, an unexpected direction, a front-wheel drive taxi built on a European platform. And this project did not originate from Checker's traditional engineering department, but from the influence of two very big names: former General Motors President Ed Cole and legendary automobile distributor Victor Potamkin. The plan was bold to the point of shock. Checker would purchase standard Volkswagen Rabbits, cut the bodies in half, stretch them by 21 inches, raise the roof, and turn them into urban taxicabs. On paper, the idea made sense. The Rabbit was light, fuel-efficient, and modern. Everything American taxis at the time lacked. To test it in the real world, Checker did something very taxi. They loaded 500 pounds of sand into the car and ran it continuously over the rough roads around Chicago. And it was there that the dream began to crack. The first problem lay in the unibody structure. Unlike Checker's traditional body-on-frame construction, the Rabbit's unibody was never designed to be cut and spliced, stretching its severely weakened torsional rigidity, a critical factor for a vehicle carrying heavy loads all day, every day. The second problem was even more serious: front-wheel drive. With the sand simulating passengers and luggage, the Rabbit's small FWD system was quickly overwhelmed. The transmission, half shafts, and front suspension were all operating beyond their design limits. Checker was forced to search for alternative engines and drivetrains, from Perkins diesel to Mitsubishi and Oldsmobile diesel options. But every solution drove costs and complexity sharply upward. The project began to slip out of control. Then an unforeseen tragedy struck. Ed Cole was killed in a plane crash. With the loss of its most powerful advocate, the VW Rabbit project lost its final political and financial momentum. Once again, the project was quietly shut down. By 1980, after two failed attempts, Checker found itself facing a rare opportunity to truly step out of the shadow of the past. This time, they were not experimenting with materials or modifying an existing car, but directly adopting the most modern platform Detroit had to offer at the time: General Motors X-Body. X-Body was GM's new front-wheel drive platform, developed for models such as the Chevrolet Citation. Its flat floor, free of the drive shaft tunnel found in traditional rear-wheel drive cars, allowed far greater flexibility in cabin layout. Combined with a high roof, Checker saw something it had never truly had before: a genuinely multi-purpose taxi. In drawings and test prototypes, the X-Body taxi looked nothing like a traditional Checker. Passengers could step into a spacious cabin and move easily from seat to seat. Entry and exit were far easier for the elderly, people with disabilities, and travelers carrying luggage. From a strategic standpoint, this was the moment Checker nearly touched the future. Had the project entered production, Checker might have become the first American manufacturer to deploy a minivan-style taxi years before the market embraced the concept through Chrysler's later success. But harsh reality quickly pulled Checker back to earth. The X-Body platform, though advanced, had a short lifespan. GM planned to discontinue X-Body production by 1985. That meant Checker, if it invested, would have at most 3 to 4 years to exploit the platform. Far too little time to recover the cost of an all-new vehicle. Checker faced an impossible equation. Invest millions of dollars in a platform already nearing extinction, or continue relying on a long-depreciated design. For a management team already wary of risk, the answer was almost predetermined. The X-Body project was cancelled. Entering the 1981 to 1982 period after the X-Body cancellation, Checker reunited with Auto Dynamics for its most ambitious project yet, Galva 2. Galva 2 was not merely an upgrade of the original Galva, it was an entirely new concept, where Checker dared to break free from old limitations. In terms of materials, the vehicle used polymer body panels, lighter than steel, rust-proof, and nearly immune to the daily minor impacts of taxi service. In the urban environment, where dents translate directly into cost and downtime, this was a clear strategic advantage. Beneath the vehicle, Checker once again demonstrated unconventional thinking with Firestone's marshmallow suspension system. Replacing traditional steel springs, it used fiber-reinforced rubber blocks. No oil, no leaks, no routine maintenance, yet offering superior ride comfort for passengers. For taxi fleets, it was a dream. Lower maintenance costs, faster repairs, and a better experience in the back seat. Galva 2 also revealed a rare systems-level vision at Checker. The project was designed around 3 wheelbase lengths, 109 inches for a 6-passenger configuration, 122 inches for 8 passengers, and 128 inches for 9 passengers. Most notably, Checker planned for wheelchair accessibility, a humane, practical feature far ahead of industry standards at the time. This was no longer an idea confined to paper. Checker completed clay models, conducted detailed engineering studies, and even commissioned tooling for key components. From a product development standpoint, Galva 2 stood very close to the starting line, but time was not on their side. The early 1980s economy tightened, cash flow was thin, and most critically, Checker's leadership no longer had the confidence to bet everything on an uncertain future. Like the projects before it, Galva 2 was shelved. When looking back at Checker's 4 attempts to replace its taxicab, what stands out is not the failure of any single project, but a repeating pattern of failure. Galva, VW Rabbit, X-Body, and Galva 2 did not die from a lack of ideas. They came to a halt because Checker was never willing to walk the full length of the road it had opened for itself. The first cause lay in corporate structure. Checker was not a giant like Detroit's Big Three. It was small, independent, and dependent on a very narrow market segment. That made every investment decision extraordinarily sensitive. A new vehicle program was not merely a development expense, it was a wager placing the entire company on the table. And for decades, Checker had grown accustomed to avoiding risk at all costs. The second cause was the trap economists call pleasantly profitable. The old taxi design, though outdated, was fully depreciated, supported by stable production lines and loyal customers. Checker was still profitable, not highly, but consistently. That very stability paralyzed the drive to innovate. Every new project was weighed against a simple but deadly question. Why take the risk when the old one is still making money? The third cause was the absence of a long-term, product-defining vision. Checker could see technology, but not the path forward. Galva addressed materials, Rabbit addressed fuel economy, X-Body addressed space, Galva 2 addressed systems. Yet none of these projects were placed within a unified strategy spanning 10 to 15 years. Each effort resembled an isolated leap, with no runway leading into it. Finally, and perhaps most painfully, came the moment of decision. When faced with a choice of survival, invest heavily to continue building vehicles or pivot entirely into component manufacturing, Checker chose the safer road. They preserved capital, protected jobs, and avoided collapse. But the price was unmistakable. When Checker abandoned car building, it also abandoned its very identity. When Checker's assembly lines came to a halt, there was no explosion, no moment of collapse. Everything ended in silence, like an old neighborhood slowly going dark as its residents move away one by one. Checker was never created to impress, but to serve. They ran day after day, through rain, snow, and blazing heat, carrying ordinary people, drivers, workers, tourists, the elderly. In the backseat of a Checker, urban America lived, grew tired, hoped, and made its way home. Today, looking back, it is hard to believe that this company once laid its hands on ideas far ahead of their time. Rust-proof bodies, dent-resistant materials, smooth-riding suspension, flexible space for every kind of passenger. Those ideas no longer belong to Checker. They appear scattered across modern vehicles, with few remembering that a small taxi manufacturer had conceived them decades earlier. Checker's legacy does not live in glossy museums. It lives in the memory of city streets, in faded photographs, and in the unmistakable sound of a thick steel door closing at the end of a long workday. Some brands are remembered for their success. Checker is remembered because its quiet presence was once an inseparable part of America, until it disappeared. If the story of Checker made you pause for a moment, take a second to hit like, not just for this video, but for the cars that once quietly carried an entire city on their shoulders. Subscribe to the channel if you value the legacy of Detroit, where steel, oil, and honest labor once helped build America. And if you ever sat in the back seat of a Checker taxi, or simply miss a time when cars were built to last rather than to impress, share your memories in the comments. Those stories deserve to be remembered.